Clapperboard Pakistan, the silent power behind peaceful documentary script. Soft cinematic music begins in a world standing on the edge of chaos, where a single miscalculation could ignite a devastating global conflict. Diplomacy often becomes the last line of defense. This is the story of a crisis that brought two powerful nations, Iran and the United States, dangerously close to confrontation. And at the heart of this story lies an unexpected but crucial player, Pakistan. For decades, tensions between Iran and the United States have shaped global politics. Their conflict has been driven by deep-rooted mistrust, geopolitical rivalries, nuclear concerns, and competing interests across the Middle East. Over the years, these tensions have flared repeatedly, sometimes quietly, and sometimes with alarming intensity. As the world entered a new phase of uncertainty, the situation escalated rapidly. Military movements increased. Strategic warnings were issued. Diplomatic channels began to weaken. The global community watched with growing concern as the possibility of a direct confrontation became more real than ever before. The stakes were extraordinarily high. A war between Iran and the United States would not remain limited. It had the potential to draw in multiple countries, destabilize entire regions, disrupt global economies, and threaten millions of lives. The fear of a wider conflict, even a global war, was no longer unthinkable. In this tense and fragile environment, the world needed a mediator, a nation that could communicate with both sides, a country that understood the complexities of the region and maintained relationships with both Iran and the United States. That nation was Pakistan. Pakistan's geographical, political, and strategic position placed it in a unique role, sharing a border with Iran while also maintaining long-standing ties with the United States. Pakistan stood as one of the few countries capable of bridging the gap between two adversaries. But geography alone was not enough. What truly mattered was leadership. At a critical moment, Pakistan's leadership stepped forward with clarity and purpose. Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif took a firm stance for peace. His approach was grounded in diplomacy, dialogue, and de-escalation. Rather than choosing sides, he emphasized the importance of stability and urged all parties to avoid confrontation. Through diplomatic channels, Pakistan initiated communication, offering itself as a platform for dialogue. The message was consistent and clear. War was not the solution, conversation was. While these efforts were visible on the global stage, another equally important dimension of diplomacy was unfolding behind the scenes. General Asim Munir, Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff, played a strategic and highly sensitive role during this period. Operating largely away from the public eye, his efforts focused on maintaining communication, building trust, and preventing misunderstandings between both sides. In times of crisis, silence often carries more weight than words. Through careful and calculated engagement, Pakistan maintained contact with key stakeholders. Messages were conveyed, concerns were addressed, and tensions were gradually reduced. These back-channel communications helped create space for dialogue at a time when direct communication had become difficult. Trust is not built overnight. Pakistan's ability to engage both Iran and the United States was the result of years of balanced foreign policy. By maintaining relationships without extreme alignment, Pakistan preserved its credibility, and in this moment, that credibility became its greatest strength. As tensions reached their peak, every decision mattered. A single misstep could have triggered irreversible consequences. But instead of escalation, there was restraint. Instead of confrontation, there was communication. Gradually, the situation began to shift. Diplomatic efforts intensified, discussions resumed, the tone of engagement changed. What once seemed like an unavoidable conflict began to move toward de-escalation. A breakthrough was taking shape. While multiple countries and international actors contributed to calming the situation, Pakistan's role stood out for its consistency and intent. It remained focused on one objective: preventing conflict and promoting peace. This effort did not go unnoticed. International observers and analysts began to recognize Pakistan's constructive role. Its ability to act as a bridge between opposing sides highlighted its diplomatic potential and strategic maturity. For many, this moment marked a shift in how Pakistan was perceived on the global stage. No longer just a regional player, Pakistan emerged as a responsible and capable mediator in times of crisis. However, as with any complex geopolitical situation, not all perspectives were the same. Some critics questioned the extent of Pakistan's influence. Others raised concerns about transparency and the true impact of behind-the-scenes negotiations. In global politics, skepticism is natural, and differing viewpoints are inevitable. Yet, even among critics, one point remained difficult to ignore. Pakistan was involved, and its involvement mattered. In the end, what defines a nation is not only its strength in times of war, but its wisdom in times of crisis. Pakistan chose the path of dialogue over destruction. It chose responsibility over reaction. It chose peace over power. Through leadership, strategy, and measured action, it contributed to preventing a situation that could have escalated into a far greater conflict. This is not just a story about politics. It is a story about the power of diplomacy. A reminder that even in the darkest moments, there are nations willing to step forward, not to dominate, but to mediate. Not to fight, but to resolve. Not to escalate, but to calm. And in doing so, they shape the course of history in ways that often remain unseen, but never unimportant. Pakistan, a silent power for peace. Music fades out slowly. End.